This episode has been brought to you by My Extraordinary Productions. Let's work on your next film together. Click the link in the description to learn more. Hi everyone. So the entertainment industry is full of glamour and fear of missing out and all sorts of things, and I'm about to ruin some of them. Just a little though, not completely. Now, because entertainment is so image-based, there are a few things that sound incredible, but then when you actually experience them, you realize that if anything was incredible, it was the marketing campaign. The first thing that sounds cooler than it is getting into any sort of networking event or party. They make these parties sound so cool, right? I mean, look at everything on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, on TikTok. They really go out of their way to make these things sound super cool and look super cool. But here's the first thing. Once you know what Facebook page, what email list, what Instagram to subscribe to, once you know how to get the information, it's really not that hard to get into a lot of parties. Yes, there are always going to be these super elite parties where you have to know someone to get in, you have to have a certain position at a certain company, you have to spend like $600 on a parking space or something ridiculous. I hope I am making that one up. Even though there are some parties that are ridiculously expensive and you have to be super connected, there are other parties that you can just get into. Sometimes for free, sometimes for $30-ish. Here's a secret. A lot of these things want to have a lot of people there because being able to take photos with a ton of people in the background makes this thing look bigger. I just explained so many frat party photos. One ironic thing about some of these networking events is we normally stereotype actors as being super chatty and wanting everyone's attention, which, yeah, that definitely happens a lot. And we stereotype writers as being super shy or introverted or just unwilling to talk to people because they're kind of snobbish. But in my experience, the writer networking events are so much friendlier than the actor ones. The actor ones aren't necessarily bad, but the writer ones are just better. Now, I will say, as someone who has attended some of these parties, some of these people can be downright depressed. Like, there's just this energy that they don't want to be there. They are just there out of obligation. They are ready to go home. They are not at their best selves. They're just hoping to find the one person who will fix everything in their lives. And yeah, that glamorous networking thing, that super cool party, just became a lot less cool. In fact, a lot of people who work in entertainment aren't as glamorous as you think they are. Yes, there are people who are purely actors or purely writers or purely cinematographers or directors or whatever, but there are a lot more people who do a mix of jobs, and a lot of people don't work full-time in the entertainment industry at all. Just because you are a PA on a Spider-Man movie doesn't mean you aren't also working at Starbucks. It probably doesn't, but you never know. Similarly, there are people in unions who are in the top like 20% of earners, some even in the top 10% of earners, who still work a second or even a third job. I've met actors who worked in IT. I've met quite a few cinematographers who've worked for their local university. You meet a lot of people who do other things so that they can do the dream job. And one of the reasons some of these people can be depressed at these glamorous networking events is because they were expecting all of their work to at least be in entertainment, if not their specific sect of entertainment. Speaking of making money, or more accurately not making money in this industry, working for really, really good exposure. When you're first starting out, it's great. You need that exposure, but then you quickly realize that the exposure is never as good as it's supposed to be, and if they expose you to anyone else, they're exposing you to people who will also ask you to work for exposure. Yeah, exposure doesn't pay the bills very well, but if you work extra long hours, you can get exposure and a half. Even if something is glamorous, like attending a film festival as an auteur, as a filmmaker, as opposed to just, a person, there are still a lot of really not glamorous things you have to do in order to get into the film festival. First, you have to write the script, and while it can be fun, you aren't always being glamorous because you're probably just writing alone in a room. Maybe you have a reading later, but once again, that's not really glamorous. It's just a bunch of people reading a script. So you write the script, you have some people read it, you eventually decide to produce it, and you start doing budgets. Once again, they're not really glamorous. It's just planning and figuring things out. And it can be exciting, but it's not necessarily glamorous. Once you figure out how you're going to produce it, you need to raise the funds. And sometimes you already have the money, and sometimes you have to work a day job in order to make the money happen. And sometimes you have to ask people for money. None of those are really glamorous. I guess the first one is kind of glamorous because you already have the money, but like, is it? There's no pomp and circumstance to just dropping money on anything. It's just nice that you have the money to do that. After you raise the funds and pay the money, you book your spaces and you hire your crew and you cast your actors. And while all of this can be exciting, I wouldn't call it glamorous because there's nothing really glamorous about looking at someone's track record and saying, oh, this guy's kind of weird, or looking at someone's track record and saying, oh, this person seems really reliable, or looking at two people's track records and saying, okay, do I want the person with the better looking film, or do I want the person with the higher follower count? Eventually, though, you do cast your film, you do have your shoot date, you do have your editing. Editing, once again, is not that glamorous. It's a person alone in a room in front of a computer just clicking a bunch of buttons. It's just work. And once again, it can be nice, but I wouldn't call it glamorous. Then comes the film festivals. First, you have to submit to the film festivals, which, once again, you're just clicking a bunch of buttons on a computer. It's not, it's just a thing to do. Then we actually get to the part where you are invited to a festival. And sometimes you can't make it to the festival. Sometimes the festival is just way too far away and you just don't have the funds to get there. Or you can physically get there, but you have these other commitments that are super important and you really want to be there. And when you have a festival that you want to go to, that you're able to go to, you may have to request time off of your day job or your other commitments. It's not that the festival isn't glamorous, it's that you still have the regular commitments of your actual normal person life. Thanks for watching. Hope you like this video. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel. If you have a question, leave a comment. Also, if you have something else you want me to ruin in the industry, please leave all of your comments. Other than that, please follow me on social media, and I will see you all next time.